The views and opinions expressed on the Hard Time Podcast are of the hosts and guests individually. The Hard Time Podcast is for entertainment purposes only and is not affiliated with any entity, agency, or department. Human beings have thoughts and feelings that do not necessarily affect the professional performance of their duties.
Welcome once again to the Hard Time Podcast. I'm your host, Jake Motherfucker Welder, the profane one. Welcome again to another week. We're getting ready, gearing up for the holidays at the jail and personally. So I like to be festive for the holidays. I just shared my sad sergeant tree with those who follow me at Jake Motherfucker Welder on Instagram. Sad Sergeant Tree has made its sixth year. It's back. It's like the sad Charlie Brown tree, but with handcuffs. So try to get in the Christmas spirit. We have Christmas music playing all year round, but you know, it's me. It's not. I don't get too super excited over anything. Just still disturbingly chill. So. And it's jail, you know, if you hear sleigh bells ringing, that's actually, it's actually shackles and cuffs. It's people being marched towards court or going on transport. So it's not Santa's sleigh. It's actually a transport vehicle taking you to or from jail or court. So that's about as festive as we get. I do wear my Santa cap on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day if I'm working or not working. So covers up the bald head, keeps me warm. Tell everybody ho 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 and Merry Christmas. And if they get offended by that, they can fill out a grievance. It won't get checked until well after the holiday by our grievance officer. So that's fine. So hope everybody's holidays are going well. If you're being safe, if you're traveling and all that, we're going to travel and see family. We're going to do stuff early. My kids, the first time that they got to like participate in actually decorating the tree. But I was wondering between like cats and kittens and dogs and little ones, how long that would last. And my almost 3-year-old, they got the tree all decorated. It's only like a 4-foot tree. It's nothing super exciting because for this reason, I didn't know how long it would last. And about 90 minutes was all it lasted before she had picked all the ornaments off the tree and we're playing with them. So yeah, have some smaller trees and stuff like those little pre-lit trees like that we have to decorate. We're going up into the mountains to celebrate, so maybe I'll go full Christmas vacation and cut down my own tree and drag it indoors. We'll see, but yeah, ho ho ho. Now I have my own machine gun. So I won't, in true hard time fashion, I probably won't have a machine gun, but I will have a firearm on me. So this week, again, batch recording episodes. I figured we'd go over some. This is a early episode, early morning, so I'm trying to get a episode recorded here before everybody wakes up and we have the pitter patter of little feet and the screams of children in the background. So we'll see how well we do this morning. I figured we'd discuss celebrities behind jail. What is your celebrity cachet? Your being well known. How well does that serve you in the criminal justice system and in jail? So that's what popped up. A bunch of people quote unquote celebrities. Some are more famous than others. Some are just celebrities because they're in the justice system. Some have political or music celebrity. And yeah, most of them are assholes for one reason or another. I'm not super familiar with the one, but we'll get into a couple articles, talk about what's going on with them. So let's check in with Brian Kohlberger, everybody's favorite asshole in jail. So this is comes from News Nation. What is Brian Kohlberger up to these days? Brian Kohlberger threatens to harm himself in prison. Report from Patrick Georgievic. Very ethnic name. Brian Kohlberger is reportedly considering extreme measures to get out of his prison block. Aren't they all? I mean, it's not a week unless I have someone make some sort of threat to try to change their housing status. I'm going to go crazy. I'm going to hurt somebody. I'm going to hurt myself. I'm going to whatever, unless something happens. This is not super newsworthy, but anyways, it's newsworthy to Newsmax. Brian Kohlberger is reportedly considering extreme measures to get out of his prison block. According to a source cited by the Daily Mail, Kohlberger has threatened to harm himself should prison guards not move him out of the J block inside Idaho Maximum Security Institution. Oh no, he might harm himself. What are we going to do? He might potentially maybe harm himself in the future if we don't do what he says right now. Chris McDonough, a retired homicide detective and Cold Case Foundation director, told the outlet that Kohlberger's demand is due to his relationship with fellow inmates in the block. Quote, the prisoners are still relentlessly harassing him to the point now where he has written staff messages saying if they don't move him out of J block, he is going to harm himself, McDonald said. The question is he using the threat of harming himself as leverage to get out of J block, or does he really feel he's going to harm himself? He's not saying I'm going to kill myself. It's I'm going to harm myself, he added. Yeah, it's not really a question. Is he using it to, it's one of those things. It's like, is it a question? Yes. Is there any question in anybody's mind? No. Due to policy, procedure, and due to the nature of the threat, can they afford to do anything else but take it seriously? No. So this is the manipulation game that inmates play. This is what they do. They say, but like we do kind of sometimes play their games and go, well, you didn't say you're going to kill yourself. You said you're going to harm yourself. So we're calling your bluff. Or you said, well, I may harm myself. So it's not a direct threat. Or it's in writing. You didn't say it to me directly. I don't know if you wrote this note. There are things you can, where if you can call them on their BS and say, all right, if you're going to make this statement, if you're going to do this thing, then you're going to have to commit to it, because then you're going to make a statement, you're going to be put in this, full precautions, you're going to get put in the silly suit, or whatever you want to call it. You're going to go the full way. If you're going to, he wants to get moved to and the reason he's saying I might potentially harm myself if something doesn't happen, maybe, is because he wants to get moved to out of the block, but he doesn't want to get put on suicide precautions, because that means he goes to booking, where he knows the same kind of stuff's going to happen, because he's been through this process before. Because you can manipulate your way into booking, you can't manipulate your way necessarily into the block that he wants to go to. So he's just like trying to test weaknesses in the policy. He's probing the fences. He's okay. I said this. Now I'm going to say it this way. I tried this. I told this person. Now I'm going to tell this person. I said it. Now I'm going to put it in writing. It's just, he's just playing games to try to see how he can get what he wants. So it's less a game of celebrity, more a game of, I'm an inmate and I think I'm smarter than um, the facility, and I'm going to try to manipulate my way into getting what I want. So, and like I said, if you want to, if they like being in the silly suit and they just want to get out of a block, they can absolutely manipulate their way out into suicide precautions. Like all they have to do is say, I am going to kill myself. I'm going to kill myself. And you're like, are you really? I'm going to kill myself. I'm going to fucking kill myself. I'm going to fucking kill myself. It's like, I'll do it right now. That's all they have to do. It's like, how many times do I have to tell you I'm going to fucking kill myself? That's how they get. And then you have to put them on precautions. Because you can, get into asking them like, well, do you have a plan? Do you have things to look forward to? Like there's a whole process to it. But do you have things, do you have things to look forward to? Like there's a permanent solution to a temporary problem. There's the whole spiel that you can go down. And I know it's, again, I make it sound like super pedestrian and super boring and stuff to me, but it's because we do it all the time. And a cop does it once to somebody on a bridge and they make it sound super heroic. I mean, it's great to save a life, at least in a temporary fashion, but ultimately, if somebody's just having a bad day and facing a suicidal situation and stuff, maybe you change their mind or whatever. But like if you have somebody that's really like facing mental, serious, deeply ingrained mental problems, like they need serious help, and the only person that can seek that help is them, and the only person that can work through those things is them, and they need to seek that and work through it. And it's like a big process and it takes time and it doesn't often happen. So if given enough time and opportunity, they're going to do something. So it's my jaded view of the world. So how's that for Christmas spirit? The article continues here. It says, J Block inmates occupy single person cells and get 1 hour of outdoor recreation daily. They are moved in restraints and are only allowed to shower every other day. On Tuesday, McDonald told News Nation that Koberger has complained to prison staff about the bananas he is being served. Koberger was sent to maximum security prison after pleading guilty July 2nd to fatally stabbing University Idaho students Kaylee Conclaves, Madison Mogan, Zana Knodel, and Ethan Chapin on November 13, 2022, in an off-campus rental property in Moscow, Idaho. In September, Koberger complained that he didn't receive allocated food, and he said other inmates had threatened to sexually assault him. So he's complaining about the bananas, and he's complaining about being threatened to be sexually assaulted. Yeah. I wonder what the complaint was specifically about the bananas now. That's got me curious. Like, was the banana bruised? Was the banana oddly shaped? Was it not the right size? Was it too green? Was was the banana, what was the banana too soft or too firm for his liking? I mean, banana is one of those subjective fruits that there's a lot of different there's a lot of different consistencies and colors and variables going on. That's the word I was searching for. There's a lot of variables with the banana, depending on what you're using it for, food or otherwise. What Brian Kohlberg was planning on doing with this banana. Yeah. Yeah, and we covered his, they were threatening to sexually abuse him. That's very common, especially for, when you victimize women as a rule in jail. If you murder young women, you're not going to be popular in jail, and he's an easy target because Brian Kohlberger thinks he's smarter than the entire world. He thought he was going to be able to get away with this murder. He thought he was a criminal mastermind, and that was part of his motivation for committing these murders. Allegedly, was that he was just a criminal justice student. He was so smart he was going to commit the perfect murder. But he's not. He's an asshole, and he's a whiny little baby. And there's a lot of testing that goes on inside jail and prisons, and if they sense weakness in you, they're going to, once they push those buttons and they see the weakness, they're going to push that button all goddamn day and all fucking night. Like, it's going to be relentless. I just had a situation this week where I had somebody, refusing to do something they needed to do. So I walked in there. I told him he needed to comply, or, it was the easy way or United Airlines way, basically. And, I was the only additional person that came in, and I said, either it's at the point where we ask you, now I'm telling you, I'm going to make you, and he goes through the same, things. You're old, you're bald, you're fat, you fat fuck, whatever to me. And I said, I don't really give a shit what you say to me. You're already getting a, major restriction. We can step it up, for your comments and for your lack of, cooperation and stuff. But I really don't give a shit. And then he starts, making threats. And I'm like, I'm not threatened by you. Like, if it's you or me, I'm gonna be okay. Like, I'll be safe. I'm fine. He's like, basically telling me I'm green lit and that I'm not gonna be safe if I need to watch my back. I'm like, no, I don't. I'll be fine. I'm good. Like, I can do my job. I'm not afraid of you. And afterwards, he wanted to apologize and whatever. And I basically told the officers, I'm not going back now, walking all the way down there to get an apology from someone that I don't really care about. It's not worth the calories or the extra effort when I have a lot of other shit to do. He's just someone who's, going to be in the system probably his whole life because he's got a lack of respect for any authority and is just a little shit stick. So, same kind of thing. And speaking of little shit sticks that don't have respect for authority, rapper Tekashi 6ix9ine gets 3 months in prison for violating probation in gang case. Tekashi 6ix9ine is he looks like what I probably would have done to a Rainbow Bright doll of if one of my sisters had one of those. I would have taken the hair and pulled some of it out, or my sisters probably would have braided some of it, and it would have looked all fucked up, and then I probably would have drawn all over it, and it would have looked all messed up. That's what Tekashi 6ix9ine looks like. So he's been in and out of jail. He's, piece of shit gangbanger. Basically has gotten some celebrity from some song that he wrote somewhere. All I really know him from is from his jail relation, him being in the news and stuff for his gangbanging and jail stuff. New York, Associated Press. Rapper Tekashi 6ix9ine was sentenced to 3 more months in prison Friday for violating the terms of his supervised release in New York gang case by assaulting a man and possessing drugs. Go figure. Who would have thought that would get you violations and send you back to jail? Who would have thunk it? The 29-year-old artist from Brooklyn, whose real name is Daniel Hernandez, admitted to violations during the hearing in federal court in Manhattan, where Judge Paul Engelmeyer expressed frustration that Hernandez keeps getting into trouble. Who would have thunk somebody with fucked up hair, tattoos all over his face, wears blue everywhere, with a grill, and constantly talks about gang shit and gang involvement and stuff would be getting into trouble all the time? Who would have fucking thunk it? The rapper got a 45-day sentence late last year for breaking the supervised release terms. 45 days in jail. The reason he got that was because of his cooperation, because he sang like a canary. Not necessarily because of his celebrity. We're not exactly talking about DMX or fucking an A-list rapper or anything here. I'm trying to think of. I want to say Ja Rule, but that's not a good example. I'm thinking Jay-Z is what I'm thinking of. A New York rapper that would be considered A-list, somebody like Jay-Z, who is, has legitimate business interests and has a shit ton of money and stuff. We're talking about Tekashi 6ix9ine, so on the same level. From time to time, your actions suggest that you believe that ordinary rules don't apply to you, said the judge, who said another prison sentence was needed to send a message to Hernandez. Hernandez, who shot to fame with the 2017 release of his song Gummo, gave a lengthy speech in court describing several episodes where he and his relatives were harassed and threatened because of his cooperation with authorities in the gang case. Unknown individuals left a coffin in front of my house with an animal in it to send me a message, he said. 3 masked gunmen held my mom at gunpoint. Hernandez pleaded guilty in 2018 to his involvement in a violent New York-based gang, the 9 Trey Gangsta Bloods. He was handed a lenient sentence of 2 years in prison in 2019, followed by 5 years of supervised release for cooperation and racketeering case against gang members. So I guess he would be wearing red, not blue. Sorry, that's getting my gangs mixed up with his. There's so many of them. 9 Trey Gangsta Bloods. Yeah. So he was given a lenient sentence because he sang like a canary, but it was, when you have a high profile case and it's in the media that you're cooperating and stuff, what do you expect? You use your gang affiliations and stuff to gain celebrity, and use those things to in your lyrics and stuff to make money and cachet and street cred and juice and all that, then build up this reputation. And then as soon as you get in any trouble, you turn in everybody that you can in order to try to avoid jail time. Yeah, you're going to have at least threats. Like, yeah, dude, that's what's going to happen. He was even released from federal prison several months early during the height of the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020. Because he has asthma. He has asthma, people. So he had to be released during COVID. Friday's sentence was related to a small amount of cocaine and ecstasy being found at the rapper's Miami home during a police raid in March, and his punching a man who taunted him at a Florida mall in August over his cooperation against gang members. His lawyer had requested 6 months of home confinement for the violations. So cocaine, ecstasy, and punching people in the face that you don't agree with. Another 45 days in jail for Tekashi 6IX9INE. Yeah. Yeah, here the Associated Press has another article that's what he did end up getting was the 45 days. It says the Manhattan judge said that the violations, 5 violations of probation rules included failing to show up for drug tests, traveling to Las Vegas from his Florida home without permission, lying to his probation officer, say to me loud and clear that you don't believe the rules apply to you. He questioned whether Tekashi 6926 thought he was above the law, maybe because you're famous and wealthy rapper. But the same rules apply to you, Engelmeyer said. Before the judge announced the jail time, Tekashi 69 asked for mercy, saying he was disappointed in himself for having to face him again after just a year or half a year before his probation would have expired. I am very sorry, he said. I'm not minimizing my actions. I take full responsibility. I let myself down. I let my family down. Give me an opportunity to clean things up. If I hadn't fucking heard that from inmates 75 fucking times, every week in and week out in in-person court, or now virtually, like constantly, over and over and over again. So I guess this is hotwhiphot.com. So when he violated probation, doing these kind of out of order, he was arrested in New York City, and this covers this article. 6ix9ine is reportedly staying at the same prison as Diddy after New York City arrest by Caroline Fisher. This was back in last October 2024. Yeah, 6ix9ine is certainly no stranger to legal issues. That's for damn sure. And unfortunately for the rapper, it looks like he won't be coming to an end anytime soon. Earlier this week, he was taken into federal custody after he was accused of violating several of his supervised release conditions. Allegedly, he traveled to Las Vegas without approval. That's not alleged. If you're there, you're there. He failed to show up for drug tests and tested positive for meth and marijuana. They left that part out. So he tested positive for meth and marijuana. So he pissed dirty. Yeah, drug use is a big no-no while you're on supervised release. So he's smoking meth, not just the devil's lettuce, not just a little ganja, not just puffing the magic dragon there. Meth. Yeah, smoking ice. Now ABC7 reports that 6ix9ine is being held at the same facility as Diddy, the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn. We love MDC around here, don't we? For the moldy food, the food with maggots in it, where you allegedly get killed and strangle yourself. MDC Detention Center in Brooklyn. Love to see the Yelp reviews on that place. For those who don't recall, Diddy was arrested last month with charges related to alleged sex trafficking and racketeering. He could end up facing serious times for his crime. We know how that ended up. As for 6ix9ine, he'll reportedly remain bars until his hearing on November 12th. So yeah, that's what happens when you smoke meth. When you don't report, show up to where you need to be, and you leave the state that you're supposed to be in. Going from New York to Las Vegas is not like New York to New Jersey. Like when you're in New York, it's very easy to go from New York, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Maryland, Boston. Like there's a lot of places that are very close by where you could violate various, like, oh shit, I got on the wrong train, I'm in New Jersey. Like that's totally something that could happen. Or you could, you're a famous rapper, you could, fail to let your probation officer know, hey, I have a show in Miami or something, and fail to notify them that you have a show. That would be excusable, that as a part of you were allowed to travel, and you told them about everything else, but you didn't tell them about an event that you had going on or something. But like when you're just traveling, to probably go smoke meth with people to Las Vegas across the fucking country, that's a big, big damn deal. In court on Tuesday, Manhattan federal judge Paul Engermeyer called 6ix9ine out for having a full spectrum disregard for the law after arriving an hour late for court. He arrived an hour late. I'm not a bad person, the rapper responded at the time. I woke up late. An hour late for court. Oh, boy. Despite the circumstances, 6ix9ine's attorney remains optimistic. Daniel Hernandez was charged with 3 technical violations regarding the supervised release, they told XXL recently. We are confident that each specification will be dismissed. Well, we're confident that did not work out. 6ix9ine's arrest took place just weeks after he signed a huge deal with Cartel Records. As part of the deal, he was expected to stay out of legal trouble, which clearly hasn't worked out so far. No, I'm not worried about staying out of trouble, 6ix9ine told TMZ earlier this month, because I mean, like, if you know 6ix9ine, you know now, like, I'm squeaky clean. Like, I stay out of trouble. It's just trouble seems its way to find me all the time. Yeah, the meth pipe just lights itself and falls into your fucking mouth. Like, it just ends up to your lips. Just happens like that. That's where the bull burns come from. For now, it's unclear if or how his arrest could impact the deal. What do you think of 6ix9ine getting taken into federal custody this week? What about him reportedly staying in the same prison as Diddy? Share your thoughts in the comment section below. What do you think? I think he's a sleazy piece of shit. I think he reminds me of, a large portion of the inmates. It'll never happen again, Your Honor, I promise. And I'm laughing about like the being late and stuff. It just, man, for the majority of people that never get in trouble, you don't understand, like, the being late to a judge is like a huge, the respect of being late, dressing appropriately, respecting you, saying sir, your honor, Mr. or Mrs., like, don't wear a hat, don't have your cell phone on. Like, there are so many rules and stuff to going to court and being respectful and stuff. Like, don't fucking be an hour late to court. Like, you can get a warrant for being shown, like, that would be a no-show. Like, you can get a warrant for that. Like, that's not a small thing, being an hour late for court. Like, he's lucky that he had a lawyer there that was present, that was probably updating the court, and that the judge even saw him that day. Because, yeah, I mean, that probably was part of, taken into consideration towards him ending up doing the 45 days. It just shows, like the judge said, his, thinking that the rules just don't apply to him, his, not being considerate of the court, and just, yeah, he can say, oh, well, I'm sorry, and troubles just seems to find me, and whatever. Your actions speak way louder than your words, dude. Like, the way you carry yourself and the way that you do things and stuff. And, like, I'm wearing a hoodie and hat and glasses and whatever. I would not show up to court like this. Like, if I had court, I would be wearing a suit. I would be respectful of the place that I was going. I would look nice. And, I've seen pictures of him in court, with his grill and, all his gang shit on and stuff. And, like, that does not impress judges. Like, yeah. So I'm glad they're doing something about it. I mean, it sounds like he's gotten 45 days. It's not like a huge sentence. He got, 2 years, and then a lot of that he got unsupervised release. He got out early. So he is getting, it's New York, so they're not going to hit him super hard with a lot of things. Some of that is because of the celebrity. Some of it is because of where he's at. But yeah, he sounds like every other, gangbanger, hip hop criminal I've ever heard of. Every wannabe rapper sounds like Tekashi 6ix9ine. So to me, it just sounds like another Tuesday. But yeah. So what about a different type of celebrity? What do you do if you are a political celebrity and you end up going to jail? So this is, I know we're not going to talk about Donald Trump in this episode, but we can say it for the algorithm a few times. Trump, Trump, Trump. French ex-president Sarkozy begins jail sentence for campaign finance conspiracy. So a couple of things that I thought was interesting about this. He has, it's like conspiracy and stuff for him. This was related to stuff that's happened over a decade ago. And one of the things that I thought that was really interesting was, like, they arrested him and brought him to jail like days before he was supposed to start a report to do his prison term. So I feel like we'll get into this case, but I feel like there's a lot to this, that there might be some things going on where they're trying to keep him from running for political office places. I mean, I don't think what they're accusing him of is good, for sure. finance conspiracy doesn't sound like finance boring, but who he's allegedly getting finances and stuff from is not good. And that if that's just the tip of the iceberg, then that's not good either. But he but yeah, it's like, what are the why is he facing all this stuff like over a decade later? Why are they arresting him beforehand? Because they're saying they thought that he was going to flee, before his term started and stuff. Like, it just seems very political, like. And I will give it to the French people. If they were upset by this, like, they know how to, like, do a protest. Like, they will throw a fit over anything and, like, burn tires and that's, like, they want to throw a revolution like every 5 minutes over anything. Like, you want to tax something too hard, like, they will have a little mini revolution. Like, if they were upset about this, they would do something about this immediately. But they don't feel too strongly about this dude, apparently, this French ex-president. But we'll get into a little bit about his sentencing, the reasons for him going to jail, and then more importantly, I think it talks about like his experience in jail and stuff, which I think it was a little bit more eye-opening. Nicolas Sarkozy has become the first French ex-president to go to jail as he starts a 5-year sentence for conspiring to fund his election campaign with money from the late Libyan dictator Muammar Gaddafi. Not since the late World War II has collaborationist leader Philippe Pétain was jailed for treason in 1945 has any French ex-leader gone behind bars. Sarkozy, who was president from 2007 to 2012, has appealed against the jail term at La Santé prison, where he will occupy a small cell in its isolation wing. More than 100 people applauded and shouted Nicholas as he left his villa in exclusive 16th district of Paris, holding his wife Carla Bruni Sarkozy by the hand. His son Louis, 28, had appealed to his supporters for a show of support, while his other son Pierre called for a message of love. Nothing else, please. Nicolas Sarkozy, 70, was driven through the entrance of the notoriously overcrowded 19th century prison in Montparnasse district of south of the River Seine at 9:40 local time, while dozens of police officers cordoned off the most of the surrounding streets. He continued to protest his innocence in the highly controversial Libyan money affair and posted a message on X as he was driven to the jail saying, "I have no doubt truth will prevail, but how crushing the price will have been. With unwavering strength, I told the French people it is not a former president they are locking up this morning. It is an innocent man," he wrote. "I do not feel sorry for me because my wife and my children are by my side, but this morning I do feel deep sorrow for a France humiliated by a will for revenge." Moments after Sarkozy entered the jail, his lawyer Christophe Ingrain said a request for his release has been filed. "Nothing justified his imprisonment," said Mr. Ingrain, adding he'll be inside for at least 3 weeks or a month. Sarkozy said he wants no special treatment in La Santé prison, although he has been put in its isolation section for his own safety, as other inmates are infamous drug dealers and have been convicted of terror offenses. Small cell with TV and 1 hour's daily exercise. Sarkozy's cell in the prison isolation wing is believed to be one on the top floor and will measure 9 by 11 square meters, or 95 to 120 square feet. There had earlier been talk of him serving his term in another wing for vulnerable people where other VIPs have been jailed in the past, where he will have a toilet, a shower, a desk, a small electric hob, a small TV for which he will have pay a monthly £12 fee, and the right to a small fridge. So it's like a little efficiency apartment. That doesn't sound too bad. The former president has the right to receive information from the outside world and family visits, as well as written and phone contact. But he's in effect in solitary confinement, allowed just 1 hour a day for exercise by himself in the wing's segregated courtyard. Conditions of detention in an isolation wing are pretty hard, Lasante ex-deputy Flave Rayon told BMT TV. You are alone all the time. The only contact you have is with prison staff. You never come across another detainee for security reasons. And there's a type of social isolation which makes life difficult. At the end of the week, Sarkozy was received by an Elysee Palace, by the Elysee Palace by President Emmanuel Macron, who told reporters on Monday it was important that it was normal that on a human level I should receive one of my predecessors in that context. Macron stressed on Tuesday that it was not his role to comment on or criticize the judicial decisions, but he said it was normal that for many in France, the sight of a president jailed by his judicial decision would provoke comment. In a further measure of official support for the ex-president, Justice Minister Gerald Darmanin said he would go to visit him in prison as part of his role in ensuring Sarkozy's safety and proper functioning of the jail. I cannot be insensitive to the man's distress, he added. Ever since he left office in 2012, Sarkozy has been dogged by criminal inquiries for months and has had to wear an electronic tag around his ankle after a conviction last December for trying to bribe a magistrate for confidential information about a separate case. Late last month, France's highest administrative court will give its verdict on Sarkozy's appeal against a 6-month jail term in another illegal campaign financing case known as the Bigmalion affair. Ahead of his arrival at Lasante prison, Sarkozy gave a series of media interviews telling La Tribune, I'm not afraid of prison. I'll keep my head held high, including at the prison gates. Sarkozy has always denied doing anything wrong in the case involving allegations that his 2007 presidential campaign was funded by millions of euros in Libyan cash. The former center-right leader was cleared of personally receiving the money, but convicted of criminal association with 2 close aides, Brice Hautefort and Claude Gouyen, for their role in secret campaign financing from the Libyans. The 2 men had talks with Gaddafi's intelligence chief and other finance and brother-in-law in 2005, a meeting arranged by Franco-Lebanese intermediary called Ziad Tiakindini, who died in Lebanon shortly before Sarkozy's conviction. It's convenient. As he lodged an appeal, Sarkozy is still considered innocent, but he has been told he must go to jail on review of exceptional seriousness of the facts. Sarkozy said he would take 2 books with him into prison, The Life of Jesus by Jean-Christian Petfilis and The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexander Dumas, classic story of a man wrongly imprisoned who escapes to wreak vengeance on his prosecutors. All right. All right. That's interesting. So, interesting book choice. I mean, the guy's I gotta give him, he's got a flair for, you know, using his words for, he's center right. So, but there's a lot of cases against him. So I don't really know much about him. Could it be because of his views? The center left or far left are giving him a lot of hell and trying to put him in jail and do what they can to keep him out of power. It's very possible. We've seen that in our own country. The politicization of the Department of Justice. Is this going on in France? It's very possible. It's a very dangerous precedent that's been set, sending presidents and former presidents to jail. And changing the laws because, this we have to send him to jail even though he's not been, you know, uh, he has an appeal or whatever. Like he's, I guess they said maybe that normally wouldn't be the case, but because of the seriousness of the crimes, he has to go to jail. Is that not normally what would happen? Are we changing the timetables on what goes on because it's, somebody from the right, not the left? Some fishy sounding shit going on here. Former French President Sarkozy released from prison after 3 weeks. So sure enough, they said it might be 3 weeks. Former French President Nicolas Sarkozy has been released from jail 3 weeks into a 5-year prison term for taking part in a criminal conspiracy. He will be the subject to strict judicial supervision and barred from leaving France ahead of an appeal for trial due to be held next year. On 21 October, the former center-right president was sentenced to 5 years for conspiring to fund. So he never funded his 2007 election campaign with money from the late Libyan dictator Muammar Gaddafi. His legal team immediately filed a request seeking his release. Writing on social media after his release, Sarkozy said his energy is focused solely on the single goal of proving my innocence. The truth will prevail. The story is yet to be written. The end of the story is yet to be written. Revenge comes later. Tibet dish best served cold. Escargot. No, I don't know. Sarkozy's car was seen leaving La Santé prison in Paris just before 1500 Greenwich Mean Time, less than an hour and a half after a court agreed to his early release. So I guess celebrity does get you a little bit of extra consideration. An hour and a half after the court agrees he's released, that doesn't happen. Soon after, he was seen arriving at his home in Western Paris. Christophe Ingrain, one of Sarkozy's lawyers, hailed the client's release as a step forward and said they would be preparing for the appeal expected in March. One condition of Sarkozy's release is he does not contact any other witnesses in the so-called Libyan dossier or any Justice Ministry employees. During incarceration, he was visited by Justice Minister Gerard Darmanin. The visit prompted 30 French lawyers to file a complaint against Darmanin, who highlighting what they said was a conflict of interest, as Darmanin was a former colleague and friend of Sarkozy's. Speaking to a court in Paris via video link on Monday morning, Sarkozy described his time in solitary confinement as grueling and a nightmare. He said he had never had the mad idea of asking Gaddafi for money and stated he would never admit to something I haven't done. Sarkozy also paid tribute to prison staff who he said made his time in prison bearable. They have shown exceptional humanity, he said. Sarkozy's wife, the singer and model Carla Brun Sarkozy, and 2 of the former president's sons were present in the courtroom to support him. Sarkozy is the first French ex-leader placed behind bars since World War II Nazi collaborationist, it's a word, leader Philippe Pétain, who was jailed for treason in 1945. Since entering prison, Sarkozy has been held in a cell in the isolation wing. We covered all that. 2 bodyguards were stationed in nearby cells, which the Interior Minister, Laurent Nunez, said was due to Sarkozy's status. There was obviously a threat against him, Nunez said. Sarkozy was president from 2007 to 2012. Ever since he left office, he has been dogged by criminal inquiries for months. He has to wear an electronic tag on his ankle after a conviction last December for trying to bribe a magistrate. So you get 2 bodyguards in a cell. That's something else celebrity gets you. You don't get that. I mean, you can have bodyguards in jail, but it's going to cost you some ramen or some honey buns. Like, you don't just get that. Grayness and solitude. French ex-president describes prison stay. This is from the Grand Junction Daily Sentinel. Grayness and solitude marked French ex-president Nicolas Sarkozy's 3 weeks in prison, according to the excerpts released on Saturday from an upcoming book. Sarkozy, 70 in October, became the first president in history of modern France to go to jail after his conviction for allowing aides to seek to collect money for his 2007 election campaign from Libyan leader Muammar Gaddafi. So he did it, according to this article. He was handed a 5-year sentence, but was released with restrictions after serving 20 days, following an appeals court ruling that there was no flight risk. He has written a 216-page book entitled Diary of a Prisoner, which is due to come out in December 10, with excerpts of which were published in several French media on Saturday. Gray dominated everything, devouring everything, covering every sentence or every surface. Let me do that again. I didn't do that justice. Gray dominated everything, devouring everything, covering every surface, he wrote in one passage. I would have given anything just to be able to look out the window, to enjoy watching the cars go by. During his first night, he knelt in prayer after watching a football match. It came naturally, he wrote. I stayed like that for several minutes. I prayed for strength to bear the cross of this injustice. Sarkozy, who was president from 2007 to 2012, was protected in prison by 2 security officers and remained confined to a cell 23 hours a day, except for visiting hours. So visiting hours is not 23 hours a day. It's often said you learn at any age. That's true because I learned a great deal in La Sante prison about others as well as myself, he wrote. His diet was made up of dairy products, cereal bars, mineral water, apple juice, and a few sweet treats. In an interview with Le Figaro, he said he wrote most of the book while behind bars, writing with a ballpoint pen and a small plywood table every day, and finished the book after his release on November 10. Sarkozy remains an influential figure on the right despite his legal problems that have dogged him since leaving office. Sarkozy has always maintained his innocence. An appeals trial is underway in March. The former president has faced a series of legal challenges since leaving office. So this Sentinel, you can tell, leans pretty hard left because they think he did it. There's no question he did it. So I thought that was a little more interesting than I thought it was going to be initially. So from that to here's a celebrity, maybe somebody like John might know who this is. Not that John doesn't get into politics, but Supergirl actor Matthias Schoenaerts sentenced to prison for driving without a license following 11 prior convictions, report. So this guy's been in a lot of I guess he's in like the Supergirl thing. He's been in like comic book action type things. That's why I said maybe John has seen this person. The actor has reportedly been ordered to pay a fine, complete exams, and comply with the driving ban in addition to his prison sentence. Belgian actor Matthias Schoenaerts has reportedly been sentenced to 6 months in prison following an 11th prior convictions for driving violations. According to a press release from the Limburg police report, a man, reported by local news to be Schoenaerts, was reportedly found driving without a license. This comes ahead of the release of the actor's latest project, Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, which is slated to premiere June 2026. Matthias Schoenaerts has reportedly been sentenced to 6 months in prison. On Monday, December 1st, the Limburg Police Court announced in a press release that a man, it's the same one, it's the same thing, represents for Schoenaerts did not immediately respond to people's requests for comment. Per the release, the offenses occurred between April 5th and April 21st, 2024. On one occasion, police claim he was stopped while driving a loaned motorcycle without a valid permit or documentation on his person, although the bike was later registered and insured. Further investigation found that the man had been disqualified from driving since September 2021 after failing to complete the proper exams. The release stated that his license had been in the court's possession since January 2023. Belga also reported that Schoenaerts had recently detained by authorities in Pelt on November 21st after allegedly driving without a license and refusing a breath test. He was ultimately found guilty of driving without a driver's license on 2 different occasions, both with aggravating circumstances due to previous traffic violations, as well as a failure to provide proof of insurance on April 5th. He also has 11 previous service records, the release stated. In addition to his prison sentence, the man has been ordered to 1-year driving ban, a series of remedial medical and psychological exams, and a fine of €4,000. However, the court spokesman Luc de Cleur told Belgian outlet Belgia that it is highly unlikely the man will actually spend time in prison. So I've seen a picture of the guy. He's been in quite a few things. Here. He began his acting career in 1992. He starred in other projects. Here's what he would. He was in French Romance, Rust and Bone, with Marion Cotillard in 2012. Cotillard. He later had roles in English films such as Red Sparrow. That was a good one. Tom Hooper's The Danish Girl, A Bigger Splash, Madding Crowd, A Hidden Life. 2020, he was in The Old Guard with Charlize Theron and The Old Guard 2. Those are on Netflix. He was also seen in Amsterdam with Christian Bale and Margot Robbie, and in the HBO series The Regime. So, yeah, he's been in quite a few things, and yeah, I mean, it's pretty. From what I've heard, it's pretty common for actors and actresses not to have their own licenses. You know, they get driven around a lot and stuff. You know, maybe they do like driving motorcycles and things like that occasionally, but sounds like this guy keeps getting his license taken away because he keeps driving recklessly, getting tickets and whatever. Maybe was drinking at least on one occasion, refusing to take a breathalyzer and stuff. And yeah, sounds like he won't see. They say he might not do any prison time, even though he got sentenced to it. So It's maybe that's a little bit from the celebrity there in Belgium. It will. I don't know what Belgian films typically look like. Maybe he's a big deal over in Belgium, as they say. So, well, it was a little bit of a different episode, kind of talking about a bunch of different pseudo celebrities, I guess, would be a better term for them, to pseudo celebrities in jail. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any suggestions for Hard Time, you can always hit me up at Jake Motherfucker Welder. Let me know about some cases you'd like to see here, some breakdowns. I got an idea for one good breakdown I'm saving for when John's available. And yeah, I need to do like a live, do like a news roundup and stuff. And see if you guys like that idea. Let me know. And always appreciate Shorty Rides, #1 fan. Just did her Wrapped for Spotify. She has the record. She should listen to more Hard Time than I have. Probably more than John and I combined. So appreciate the support. Looking forward to a new year for Hard Time 2026, and see if we can't expand some things a little bit. I'm looking at some things possibly here for the studio to upgrade some things, make sure I have some stuff kind of upgrade my computer setup and maybe microphone and stuff, and have some things ahead of time so that hopefully stuff doesn't poop out on me. Get some stuff ahead of time. So I appreciate everybody that subscribes to Hard Time, because that's what keeps the lights on. I invested some money in buying all the equipment and stuff for Hard Time initially, and then ever since then, it's been your guys' support that's kept it where I've been able to reinvest. I'm on like my third computer for Hard Time. Seems like about once a year I have to buy, these computers crash and I have to buy something else for Hard Time. Thankfully, everything's stored in the cloud. This is the original microphone for Hard Time. Some of the original lights, a lot of the lights have been replaced. So there's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes to keep the show going, try to make it look somewhat interesting. This key light, is brought to you for Shorty Rides by Shorty Rides. Because she likes to make sure that they can see my face. They didn't like the dark episodes. So yeah, appreciate all your guys' support, and yeah. So we'll go with a couple Jake jokes now. So I told the doctor I have a problem with my right ear. He asked me, "Are you sure?" I said, "Yes, I'm definite." I thought the word cesarean started with the letter S, but when I looked it up in the dictionary, it was in the C section. All right. Well, they say dad joke hasn't fully developed until it's full grown. So, all right. Well, thank you for sticking around for another week of Hard Time. Looking forward to doing some more for you guys here soon. Doing some more batch recording. Maybe I'll record another one tonight after dark. So, thank you once again. And for tonight, I'll say good night, Jake.